And another major blow to President Biden. A new Quinnipiac poll finds only 31% of Americans approve of the job that Biden is doing. This is a new record low. The same poll also finds that just 28% of those surveyed approve of his handling of the economy. The president completely ignoring a soaring inflation, these approval numbers during a speech in Massachusetts yesterday, and instead claiming fossil fuel emissions gave him cancer. Watch.
My mother drove us, and rather than us be able to walk. And guess what? The first frost, you know what was happening? It had to put on their windshield wipers to get literally the oil slick off the window. That's why I and so damn many other people I grew up have cancer. And why can't, for the longest time, Delaware had the highest cancer rate in the nation.
Now, the president does not have cancer. The White House is now on damage control, telling Fox News that Biden misspoke about presently having cancer. They claim he was referring to past skin cancer. During the conversation all morning long this morning is Washington Examiner political and investigative reporter Sarah Westwood and Strategic Wealth Partners president and CEO Mark Tepper. Sarah, but that was incredible when he made the comment. It went viral as soon as you said it. That's why I and others have cancer. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is more of the same that we've heard from Biden, right? That you can never really understand what's about to come out of his mouth, that he's constantly making gaffes that his White House is having to back up. But I think the fact that the White House isn't recognizing what's driving down his approval ratings, right? The fact that he's not talking about the things that Americans care about, that he is, like you mentioned, going out and giving speeches on climate change, not talking about the pain at the pump and at the grocery store that Americans are feeling. That's why his approval ratings are falling. And it's kind of remarkable to watch this White House repeat those same mistakes over and over again and not do the obvious things that need to be done to sort of stem the bleeding from Biden's approval.
You know, Mark, it's like the elephant in the room, right? I mean, look at this, 31% approval rating. And he's telling us that he is going to blow off all of the pushback, not just from American families who are logging in numbers like this, but also from sitting lawmakers. Joe Manchin said no to the reconciliation package. So now Joe Biden says, well, I'll do it myself with an executive order.
Yeah. And he's completely clueless. I mean, you know, I think it's pretty self-explanatory why Biden's numbers continue to plummet. To Sarah's point, he's not addressing pretty much two of the biggest issues everyone's concerned about, which is inflation and crime. He's doing his little parade talking climate change and windmills, and it's falling on deaf ears, you know. And not only does he have no clue when it comes to inflation, to your point, Maria, he keeps pushing Build Back Better, which will only stoke the inflation fire. So, I mean, he just continues to show he's out of touch. He's shown he's cognitively deteriorating day by day by day. And I truly believe had he chosen a strong VP running mate a couple years ago, I think they would have invoked the 25th Amendment by now. So, look, obviously, I think it's pretty apparent that he's weak. You know, yesterday when he was giving his speech, I watched him walk down the stairs after giving his little speech on the podium. He almost missed the very first step. I mean, I was concerned the guy was going to fall. So, look, you know, it's not a good look for America. We need strong leadership, and we're not getting it out of this administration.
Yeah, it's very sad, actually, and concerning. And certainly our adversaries are watching, making this a national security issue. We'll keep talking about this. We're just getting started this morning.